You can never get away from it.
So the pilot's great.
Oh, thanks.
Honestly, I was riveted throughout the whole thing. And
I appreciate that.
A couple questions. We see them traveling in time, but is there going to be a point where they're going to travel in the future?
Not in the near future, not in the medium future. I think like if the show is successful for 3 or 4 years, then we might entertain the beginning of a conversation about whether we want to do it in the far future from that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the show really lives, at least in its conception, as much like a fun, swashbuckling historical adventure than it does like a brain trippy into the future time travel show. I mean, what we love is this kind of fun, romantic, epic scope feel of like an early Spielberg movie where you're just hitting these iconic moments in history and running and gunning through them. And I think there's so much material, so much fascinating material to really, when you have all of history to play with, for us, at least for now, that's a lot more interesting to us than a fictional future.
Can you tease a little bit whether or not Rittenhouse has something to do with Pennsylvania?
It has everything to do with Pennsylvania.
We have to take you away from here right now.
This interview is over.
So what's going to be the structure of each episode? Is it going to be similar to what we saw in the pilot?
Yeah, it really is. It's every week our, sort of under the gun, outmanned heroes have to chase this shadowy adversary through different periods of history with a different period every single week. And we did the Hindenburg. We can say that the second episode is the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. And then we'll go from there with each time them trying to, one, stop this guy, and then two, try to set right all the things in history that he's set wrong. So they're really trying to protect history as well as eliminate. When you really think of it, a guy with a time machine is the most dangerous terrorist possible. So it's stopping him and it's saving. And with an incredible amount of visuals. We're building these amazing sets, incredible production value, and then we're throwing them away at the end of every episode because it's time to go to another time period.
So then how crazy does the writer's room look at for you guys, keeping all this straight and all these things that could change in these moving parts?
Here's how crazy the writer's room is that there are 2 writer's rooms. Yeah. We've literally had to divide up into 2 groups with like 4 boards each. We spent a good amount of the first couple weeks talking overall mythology, what are the time travel rules, because we certainly know that casual viewers don't want to be overwhelmed with crazy rules, and we know that genre fans want to know what those rules are and are going to really police you in terms of, are you going to stick to them? So we take that super, super seriously. We've done our research. We've challenged each writer to poke holes in our thing, and I've learned along the way just how incredibly passionate people are about their belief that they know what time travel rules are. For a science that doesn't actually exist yet, people feel very passionate that they know what they are, and so it's our job to make it clean and simple in the way that Back to the Future had clean and simple rules, in the way that Quantum Leap had sort of clean and simple rules. We don't want to be too twisty and too mindfucky. We want it to be something that people can sort of say, okay, they've laid out the rules, they're living by them, we know what the obstacles our heroes face are, and now we can just enjoy watching and seeing what our heroes do.
Yeah, as I say, you want to be Back to the Future, not Back to the Future 2.
Well, at the end of the first episode, we saw that the future was changed, or the present, or however you want to.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something we're going to be seeing again? More often.
I think we're going to see it as. I think it's going to live as the stakes of what happens if our heroes fail. I think the show would get muddled in a hurry if every single time they went back to the president, it was like a wildly different president, or as I say, it's like T-Rexes with Nazi armbands or goose stepping down Fifth Avenue. They need to be fighting for a recognizable present. And really it was Shawn's idea, that twist at the end that I won't give away. And I think what was so good about it is it's not like you go on the news and there's no more United States. It's a very scary change, but it's a very personal one. And so I think one of the reasons that they're fighting to protect history is they're so scared that they don't know what's going to change, and that it might not be a big thing. It might be a really personal and painful thing that the rest of us don't even know has happened. And so it's more about living in that type of world, because again, we want our heroes to be fighting for the same reality that we all live and is recognizable to the viewer.
So the fact that the character that you're sending back, the characters that you're going to be sending back are obviously diverse. There's a woman, there's an African American, and in the times that you're bringing them back, and we saw that in the first episode, there's going to be some awkwardness that comes about.
Sure.
That's putting it mildly. So is that probably going to come out more and more?
It's not something that we want to overplay, but we certainly want to acknowledge the reality. You're referring to Rufus, who's the engineer and pilot, who's got to be the one to take them back these times, and he doesn't quite fit in as well. But that's one of the interesting things about genre time travel shows is you can get into things like racial identity and racism in a way that might seem heavy-handed if you were telling a present-day story, but you can tell these stories along the way. And one of the things we're trying to do, not even just with our regular casting, but even like extras casting, is show how the world has changed. So we want our present day to be extraordinarily diverse. Connor Mason, who's played by Parison Joseph, who's the guy who runs this. Sakina Jeffrey, who plays Agent Christopher. Gia, the girl who Rufus has a crush on. That world is sort of incredibly diverse. And now they go back to places that aren't always as diverse. And that in and of itself is a commentary upon the world that we live in. And we want to be true to what that experience is. In the second episode, Rufus meets, and one of the main guest star characters is an African American soldier who just finished fighting on behalf of the Union Army in the Civil War. This is right after the Civil War has ended, and he develops a relationship with that guy. So those are issues that I'm always fascinated to get into, and we're able to tell certain stories in the past and in time travel that we wouldn't be able to tell other ways.
Well, how much the technology?
Sorry.
Can you talk about segueing off of that, balancing, because you do have action and you have, some here, but you also are balancing it with some humor. And Rufus's The Michael speech in jail was just fantastic, but it was you made a point there as well.
A few things, which is one is so much of history as like we know it and is taught in schools are like rich white dudes' history. And one of the things that's great about this show is very specifically we have a character who's African American and we have a character who's a woman. And it really gives us a door into aspects of history that aren't always told, and so we get to tell stories. Like everyone knows the iconic moments, and we're going to have them, but there's so many aspects of what it was like to be an African American in 1865, or to be a woman in any time period, and so we're really going to open a door into what these worlds are, and really show people history that they haven't seen before. Specifically, that speech, what's so funny is, Malcolm ad-libbed a lot of it.
We had the basic point of that speech, but he came up with some better specifics.
But we're two white guys, and we're good writers, but we're two white guys, and it was funny that on the day he was doing our speeches scripted, and we were like, just missing. It's okay, but it's missing something. And we went over to him and we were like, say whatever the hell you want. And that was what he said.
And we kept it in.
And that was what made it to the show. Yeah.
Yeah, the Michaels thing was his.
The Michaels thing was amazing.
Well, just the little moments like that, I'm Nurse Jackie, this is Dr. Dre.
That was
that we wrote.
I mean, how has it been working together? I mean, because you guys have done your own project.
It's hard enough to run any show on your own. But a show with this many challenges, there's things have to be planned out. The production design, we're already contemplating building sets that are 3-4 episodes down the line because what we're doing is so ambitious. It needs that kind of lead time. Visual effects are already being done on episodes that aren't even filming yet because it's going to take that long to sort of do. And the stories are very complicated. Yesterday I was in Vancouver for the first day of filming, and I spent all week prepping it was a full-time job, and meanwhile he was back in LA pushing the scripts along, getting the outlines out, and normally that would have been me trying to do both and doing both at about 80% success.
Right.
And so for the show this ambitious, the hope is that with two of us who are so experienced, that maybe we can barely keep our heads
right, exactly. And look, and I think, as Shawn said, when we first started working together, he's like, let's see how it goes, because, we're two people who are used to getting what we want. And how's that going to work? And I will say that it's worked amazingly well. It's a backhanded compliment to say surprisingly well, but it's working surprisingly well. We really get along well. We both are really dedicated and uncompromising when it comes to quality and making the scripts as great as they can be. I think we really complement each other well. I think we have different areas of expertise that combine to something that's greater than the sum of its parts. I think it's going great.
It helps. Listen, Hollywood can be a very egotistical town, and it helps that each of us have had a very successful show under our belt. And at least for me, I don't feel the need to prove myself that I can do something completely on my own. I would much rather do a better job with somebody else than have something that just only has my name on it. And really, the reason why it works is that the best idea kind of wins, and it doesn't matter whether it comes from me, comes from him, or comes from a staff writer on the show.
That's right.
We're just in this together. We want the show to be good, and we want to be able to go home and see our kids at night too.
Yeah, that's right.
Which we wouldn't be able to do if we were doing the show alone.
No.
Is there what plans do you have for your current cast members? What arc do you have tonally for the upcoming episodes? What do you have in store for them? What don't they know?
Right, which I'll tell you. Which
I will not tell anybody.
Okay, just don't tell the actors.
Just off the record.
Listen, between
tell
you
the
and
audience,
you and me, but just don't tell the actors.
Don't tell the actors.
No, look, I can't give away necessarily the specifics, but I can tell you, the tone that we have, and part of that, I think, is Shawn's contribution. I think we have a really unique focus on character in this story. I think these characters are complicated and grounded and very, very real. I think they're dealing with, even though they're dealing with the madness of time travel, I think they're dealing with real relationships, both with each other and with their families. I think there's an incredible amount of depth and humanity and humor. And I think one way to really make, as I've done on Supernatural, and look, one way to really make genre work is you have to make it human. And it needs to be 99% human and 1% about the sci-fi deal. And I think this is a show that is about that. So I think their arcs are painful and loving and funny and all the things that we want great characters to be.
Yeah, we were asked earlier about the balance between humor and all this other stuff, and my answer would be that if we stay grounded in what's true, then we can cover all those bases. We can be scary, we can be funny, we can be dramatic, we can be sad, we can be romantic, because that's what life is. Life contains all of those elements. And so the idea is to present a grounded, real universe that these characters live in, but the universe happens to be spectacular, the way that Crichton would write these spectacular universes with these very relatable characters in the middle of. And so, my mantra with the funny is, I want to be funny, but I don't want to ever get caught trying to be funny. So if we keep it sort of grounded, if we keep it in the real, we can be all things to all people. But the minute we try to artificially be these things, people will catch us and punish us for it.
Okay.